but Cam Skattebo is in the news. And when I say news, I mean my dumb algorithm.
The old Skattebo, see, there's a swing in my step and a nickel in my pocket.
All the kids doing the Skattebo.
Oh, the old Skattebo.
So, Cam Skattebo.
Hey, if you don't want to do the Skattebo, see, why don't you do the 23 Skidoo?
Arizona State, lovable guy. People, honestly, gravitate towards his energy, his vibe. Danny G, I would say a lot of NFL fans are like, man, if my team could pick this guy up in a later round, please, because just his vibe seems like someone you want in the locker room.
Yeah, he's already turning heads at the OTAs.
Yeah, everyone's saying, like, he's just one of those guys, as they say in baseball, a clubhouse guy, locker room guy in the NFL, right? He's one of those guys.
It meant a lot to him and the family to make it to the Giants, too, though. I thought that was cool.
But I thought this was interesting. When asked about his division and now being, proud to say he's in the National Football League, this is what Cam Skattebo had to say.
So talking about New York, can you name the teams in your division?
I know we got Eagles, Cowboys, and Commanders, right?
Okay. There you go.
Yeah. That's all I know, though. I grew up a 49er fan, West Coast.
Yeah. Can you name any other divisions like AFC South?
Nope.
Yeah.
I couldn't tell you 4 teams. I couldn't tell you probably 2 teams in any other division.
Yeah.
I mean, I could tell you, obviously, the 49ers, Rams, Cardinals, Seahawks, but that's the only other one I can tell you.
To think that Cam Skattebo can't name the teams in his
But
division.
You know what he knows? He knows how to knock your block off. He knows how to play football.
Do you don't think that matters?
I'm not surprised, is my point, because you already explained why. When you're so focused and you're laser focused and you got blinders on to make it in the NFL, being a fan in that way and knowing that stuff isn't always the priority. It's like Anthony Edwards. Remember, he's so focused on basketball and being that guy, he didn't even know who A-Rod was.
That was a great one.
Yeah, but he knows who the other NBA teams are that
You don't
didn't
know
pick
that.
him.
I don't know that.
I'm
How do
pretty
you
sure
not,
that's
as a
true.
sports fan, how do you not know A-Rod?
That is an interesting one because that's when A-Rod was part of the
I don't
group
know.
that was wanting to buy the T-Wolves. And if you remember, Anthony Edwards is like, yeah, A-Rod, never heard of him.
Yeah, like I'm not making excuses for it. I'm just saying we see it often. It happened to me recently. I built a career in radio. I would debate that most people don't love radio the way me and LL Cool J love radio. Danny G, I know you do. But I got into radio not to be the center of attention because I loved radio. Loved it. And you were talking about some Love Line show the other day. I'm like, never heard of it.
Oh, Covino never heard of Delilah.
No, you know what? Never did.
How did you not know who Delilah was?
I wasn't going to bring it up because it's part of the iHeart family.
Is it? I don't even know, but still.
Or it was. And I'm like, yeah, I don't know. I don't know that. I don't know that.
Yeah, she used to be Premier Networks.
Premier Networks, yeah. I'm like, I don't know. I never listened to these Love Line shows. Wasn't my thing. My point is, I'm not proud to not know. I'm saying that sometimes you're so laser focused on what you're doing that you're not worried about what other people are doing.
But you got to ask yourself.
I cared about that show? Give me a break. I cared about my show and my path.
You got to ask yourself.
And my influences.
Does that mean you're laser focused, Danny, or does that mean you're not honed in on the bigger picture?
The dude's in the NFL. You think you like football more than him?
Okay, but again, Delilah's not your cup of tea. You knew about all the other rock shows, though.
Yeah, but that seems like common radio knowledge, right? The way you guys described it, that's a big-time show. So I admit, like, how did I not know that?
But
What surprises me, though, it's in his lane.
No,
like, you could argue A-Rod's outside his lane. That's baseball.
Yeah, but he wasn't an NFC guy. He was an AFC guy.
Not to throw you under the bus, but you also probably couldn't name our competition right now. Do you know who the ESPN lineup is?
I know Sedano. We got to beat that.
He's
punk.
local. Give me. Who's ESPN's like national guys that you would probably say stink?
Who is it? Clinton Yates? I'll beat his ass. Let's go.
He's your friend.
I love all those guys. Why do I care?
But what I'm saying
I'm
is,
worried about me and doing my best. I'm not worried about them.
But
So
there
this
are
guy,
things about you that are Cam Skattebo. Like
Okay,
when you're
but-
so focused, you don't know.
Hold on. I'm so focused that, or let's put it this way. I was such an AL kid growing up when it came to baseball. I couldn't tell you I know all the NL teams, but I wouldn't know all the NL divisions because I never watched NL baseball.
You serious?
I never watched it ever. Never.
You're Cam Skattebo.
I watched AL baseball my whole life. Why would I watch NL baseball? To watch your boring-ass Mets? That boring-ass coverage our whole childhood? No thanks. So I didn't know anything about the NL other than,
SNY,
the
Emmy
basics.
award winning, but let's go with the S Network. Ryan Tanahill If you watched Hard Knocks back in the day.
Rich holds the lamest candle to Gary Cohen every day.
Because he's the best there is?
Yeah.
What
did he say to you when you worked at us and what?
NBC Sports, right, is going to get baseball. Gary Cohen's going to end up being their national broadcaster.
I'm not defending Skattebo at all. It's odd. That's why it's a story, and that's why it's surprising. I'm just trying to explain that sometimes it happens.
Well,
That's
sometimes
all.
you're so focused on your own path that you really are blinders on. Ryan Tannehill, there was a series, you might have heard of it, Hard Knocks. There was a season of Hard Knocks back in the day where our buddy Mauser in Cincinnati just hit us up. He's a Dolphins fan. He goes, Ryan Tannehill, same thing. To quote him, I'm so lost on divisions, I only know the teams in my own. I couldn't name the others.
I hear it in fighting all the time where, you grew up and you admired all the legends or whatever, and these young dudes, they grow up in the ring, but they don't give a diddly squat about what this guy did and who he was. All they're trying to do is beat that next opponent's ass. And I do understand it. It's shocking for me to hear as a fan, but I kind of understand. So, again, I want to make it clear. Not defending it. I'm just trying to sort of explain it. Your thoughts, do you lose any respect? The guy's in the NFL. He loves football more than you.
I don't lose respect. I just find it funny.
It is funny.
That these are things you don't learn along the way. I always found it hilarious when there would always be a player that didn't know the overtime rules. Or every so often you see a wide receiver who doesn't get hit by contact, but because he goes down, he thinks the play is over. And every 5 years or so, there's a guy that is a turnover.
Yeah, you hear a lot of stuff like that.
J.J. McCarthy. I know it's not the same, but there was a clip recently where he was with Justin Jefferson.
It was at the Warriors-Wolves game.
This is a little while back in the first round of the playoffs. And dude never had Mike and Ike's before.
Yeah, they were mic'd up courtside. And he's like, you've never had Mike and Ike's? Justin Jefferson asked him. He's like, no.
I find that more odd, to be honest.
But it's just funny what you miss along the way.
You get $3 for $5? Get some Red Hots, some Mike and Ike's, and maybe some Swedish fish.
But what is your admission?
That's movie candy. How could you have never had that?
Some good and plenty. You never had Mike and Ike's. That's a true story, by the way. That's another one we'll throw in there just for fun. J.J. McCarthy never had Mike and Ike's. And Justin Jefferson was like, "You never had Mike and Ike's?"
Well, what is the one for you? Let's admit it.
Something you missed?
Something
I already
you missed.
did. I said that we were talking radio, and someone brought up a very popular radio show. I wasn't trying to undermine or downplay any show, but it was a popular show. I'm like, I never heard of it. I didn't grow up in that world of pop radio or Loveline radio, or I didn't listen to that stuff.
But I'm saying
Ever.
it's not about it. See, that's the thing. Some people say, well, I don't listen to it, or that's not what I watch. But to just not know it, like you never heard like Delilah, like you never heard ever in your life.
Nope.
And you work in radio.
You know what I missed along the way here, and maybe because I don't watch The Voice, but I think he's got like 8 of the top 10 songs right now on the Billboard 100.
Uh-oh.
I never knew Morgan Wallen came from that show, The Voice.
Oh, I
had
knew
no
that.
idea.
Yeah, I knew that.
I just saw a clip recently where he's young baby face on that show, and with his mom there with him, and I'm like, I didn't know he came from that show.
Well, guess what, Danny G? You just taught me something. Because
You
I
didn't
didn't
know
know
that?
that.
Even I knew that, and I'm the guy who likes country the least.
But is that he was discovered on The Voice?
Yes.
Yeah,
Who
I had no idea.
who turned their chair around? Gwen Stefani? Well, so you're telling me that? No.
Hey, sometimes you just don't know.
You just missed something along the way. Like
And,
I remember,
and sometimes it's ignorance and stupidity and all that, right? But sometimes it's like, yo, I was focused on winning and doing my own thing, and that's where I think a lot of this comes from. Like the Anthony Edwards story that we mentioned before, like he didn't know A-Rod, yeah, because his life revolved around. Well, first of all, he's younger, but his life revolved around basketball. You know, it's not like he said Michael Jordan. He's like, I don't like baseball. I didn't know. What do I know about A-Rod? I don't know. But just from a pop culture reference, I was surprised.
you know
So
what?
I think a lot of this it has to do with the laser focus on what you're doing.
What would be disappointing to most fans? Like not disappointing, like you should be all bummed about it, but you would be shocked how little your current players know about your team's history. Like if you asked the current New York Yankees roster, Covino, if you gave them Yankees trivia, you'd be so sad at how bad they probably would do.
Without a doubt, because you're more of a fan than they are, but they were a fan of winning and playing and making it to the bigs. We had the pleasure of having Mike Tyson on the show. You can even ask him about it when he's here. but we had Mike Tyson on our show several times. And the very first time we had him on, I was like, yo, Mike. And he was like, what's up? And I'm like, Mike. He's like, what's up? And I'm like, dude, I used to play your game, dude. And he's like, I never played the game. I couldn't even tell you anything about the game. He recently played it like once, but when we first interviewed him, he had never played his own game. He didn't know any of the characters. I was like, yeah, man, Don Flamenco. He was looking at me like I was speaking another language.
That's right. A camera crew was with him when he played it for the first time.
Not that long ago.
What did he say? Covino goes, the first guy you beat, Glass Joe. And what did he say?
He said, yeah, I know. This is what I swear. He said, I know Blast Joe, and that's it.
Blast Joe. He called him Blast Joe.
Yeah, I swear that's what he said.
Blast
it made no
Joe.
sense. And dude, I sat there like, you mean, I was so disappointed. I'm like, I could tell you the code to fight you right now, but you never played your own game? And there was another story about that recently where someone didn't play their own game. Who was it? Oh, Ralph Machio was in an interview recently, and they were talking about Karate Kid 2, and it was a very popular Nintendo game. And he was like, yeah, I never played it. Like, you never played the game you were on? We all played it when you were kids? He's like, nah, I never played it once.
Wow.
Well, hey, man, you should probably check that out.
But interestingly enough, back to what I said, if you quizzed the current Laker roster, Danny G, about Laker history, you'd also be probably disappointed in the general lack of knowledge. Listen, when I go in for a job interview, no matter where it is, I'm not patting myself on the back, but I was taught to very much learn about where you're going.
Do your homework.
Do your homework. I remember we had an intern interview once when we worked at Sirius XM. We had an intern candidate come in, and they were straight up like, yeah, I never heard of this company. But it's Cyrus. We're like, you're here for an internship interview. What the hell is wrong with you? And I just think it's terribly, it's not a bad reflection. It's just odd. Like, I remember you guys made fun of me that I was watching. I remember one of the big shows at the time on Netflix. We were all loving House of Cards. And I didn't realize that Claire Underwood was Jenny from Forrest Gump. And it never clicked. Like, it just never dawned on me. Like, wait, that's Jenny from Oh.